If you've been watching my channel, you know that I made this roast a couple of days ago. And although I like a good roast, I start to get tired of it after a couple of days. So I'm going to show you one way to take leftovers from something like this and turn it into something like this. And as usual, we're going to do that with what we have on hand and try to focus more on the principles and techniques so that you can apply this method to whatever you've got kicking around your fridge. If you were really hoping to see how I made this wrap specifically, you're still going to see that. You'll know how to make it if you want to. Just remember the principles we're adhering to here are universal. And that way you can be creative and reinvigorate and liven up leftover meat from whatever roast you have. Because I roasted my lamb with a blend of Greek herbs, I decided to use it to make a Mediterranean style wrap. And what I had around the house for that was some tomato, some red onion, some feta, some hot chilies I sweet pickled a while back. And if anyone wants to know how to make those, just let me know and I'll show you. And then to round this wrap out, we went to the garden and grabbed some lettuce and mint and cut a little wedge of lime. Because my father always disses my cooking for not having enough acidity. It needs to be more acidic. That's what he sounds like. So we gathered all that stuff up and prepped it as we saw fit. Thin slices for the tomato and onion, crumbled up feta, chopped lettuce and mint. Peppers were already sliced like that. When you're trying this at home, do what seems right. I'm sure it'll be fine. The only thing that really matters here is that whatever roast you're working with, you do want the meat to be pretty thin, so use a sharp knife, cut it cold, try and get around 1/8 inch or so. And that's general advice for a red meat roast like lamb or beef, especially if it has a bit of fat on it. But if you're working with a leaner piece of chicken or maybe pork, you might want to go thicker, but we'll talk more about that later. Although I like pita, I don't often have it on hand, and all I had for flatbread was tortilla, so I used tortilla for this. Because I'm not going to go out and buy a bag of pita just to make a couple of wraps and then be stuck with a bunch more pita. That's like getting the cat to trap the mouse, and we don't do that here. At least my cats don't. Once you've got all that stuff prepped up, head over to the stove, throw on a pan, medium-high heat, put in some oil, and just let that pan heat up. And you really do want it hot, so just give it a couple minutes. And when you think it's ready, try air frying your hand, put in a little piece for a sizzle test. And if you're getting a decent sizzle, grab another couple pieces, and if they sound like this, then you're sitting pretty, and I'm pretty sure you've got this. Your pan is hot, your meat is sizzling, go ahead, throw in the rest. If you're doing a bunch, do it in batches. Give the pan a shake, get it all coated in that oil. And then grab a spatula and arrange the pieces so that they're all making good contact with the pan. You want to get them good and hot. It's the only way you're going to get quick color without drying out the meat. If you notice a lot of liquid in the pan, or if it doesn't seem to be browning that well, just press it down with the spatula. That'll help you get some more contact. And you're just going to keep moving this meat around and pressing it in, getting it good and brown. That'll help crisp it up, liven up the flavor a bit. But if you're working with a leaner roast like pork loin or maybe some chicken breast or something like that, your methods here are going to be a little bit different. Those are meats that are going to dry out much faster. It's going to be a little bit tougher to get some good color on them without drying it out. For pork loin, I would do slices that are slightly thicker, and I would lay them down and press them in good for a quick sear, about 30 seconds or so. You can flip and do the other side too, but I probably wouldn't bother. And I would do that as a test with one piece first and then see how that goes. Then I would adjust the length of the sear to whatever seems right. For chicken, I would do 1/4 inch strips and not worry too much about getting color. You certainly can still go for color, just remember it's going to dry out really fast. So if moistness is important to you, just be sure that if you're going for color, that you're really paying attention to how quickly your meat's drying out. So this is what your meat will look like when it's about halfway done. And you'll just keep doing what you saw me do here in the video until you think it's ready and it looks something like this. Next step is assembly, so go get a plate, put your flatbread on it, then take your meat and arrange it nicely on top of the flatbread. Once you've got the meat out of the pan, take the pan and put it back on the stovetop at a lower heat. Or if it's really hot, just put it back on the burner with the heat off, because we're going to use that residual heat to crisp up the sandwich after assembly. You've got the meat arranged, so now you're going to come in with your toppings and just layer them on. Whatever toppings you want, whatever toppings you think will go best with whatever roast you had. Fill it to your heart's content. Just remember that you do need to be able to roll this thing back up and get it back into the pan. So if you like to go big, try and practice a little bit of restraint, and don't forget to add a little bit of lime. After you've done that, you can come in with your sauce. And for my wrap, I went with this doner kebab sauce that I bought at the co-op a little while back. And for my taste, I don't think I would buy it again, but it did somehow work with the wrap. So I put a little bit of that on, and when you do yours, you do whatever sauce you want, or go no sauce if you're one of those people, and then get in there to get this thing rolled up. I'm sure you all know how to do this, but in the off chance you don't, it's real simple. Just try and shape it up a little bit into a cylinder. Fold the bottom side up, tuck in one side, tuck in the other, and then you just roll it up tight. Just roll it up. Just like that. Okay, so you got that boy rolled up. You're back at the pan. Give it a little test. Make sure it's still warm. If it's too cold, turn it back up a bit. When you're good and ready, take your wrap. Give it a ginger little press in the pan. Make sure you've got good contact. And if you have a press like one of these, go ahead and use it. It will make it a little bit better, but you really don't need one. If you need more contact, just use your hand or a spatula and press it in. Because I have one, normally I would use it, but for this video, I'll take it away. After about a minute or so, just come in, do a little peek test, make sure it's browning. If you're not liking what you're seeing, turn up the heat a bit if you need to, and when you think it's ready, just give it a little flip, press it back into the pan, and when you're happy with the crisp, pull it, cut it, plate it. So like I said, this is a great way of using up some leftover roast, get it out of your fridge. And you could eat it just like that, or you could plate it up with a nice soup and a nice drink, like I did here with this chicken vegetable cabbage and this probiotic boosting homemade kombucha. That's right, this whole time you thought I was just making that wrap? Well, I was also making soup. And that really was a good soup. So if you want to know how I went about making it, or how I go about making my own kombucha, keep coming back and eventually I'll show you. Thanks for watching and see you next time.